Hi students, welcome to your math lesson of the day. Before we get started on 4.8 and big ideas, I wanted us to go over the clock before we dive into 4.8. So remember, for this example, the black hand, the shorthand, represents the what? It's the hours. And then for the longhand, it's the minutes. So when the shorthand is put into a number, it's going to be that number. But for example, if I moved it like this, like it's past the 6, but it's not on the 7. So if it's not on the 7, it's still going to be the 6th hour. But for the minutes, you have to count by 5s. So for example, for the time is now 6:35. It's not on the 7. That's since it's not on the 7, it's still going to be the 6th hour. And if we count by 5s until we get to number 7, we have, well, we start on 12 as 0, and then 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So this example, it's 6:35. And then if I move the clock to, for example, till 9, it's going to be 6:45. And it's not on the 6, but it's not on the 7, so it's still considered 6 and something minutes. And if I keep going, like it looks like it's on the 7, but not quite. So it's still considered the 6th hour, but once it hits 12, it's going to be 7 o'clock. But notice how the shorthand, the minutes hand, moves closer to 8, even though it's still considered the 7 hour, but it has to go all around the clock till it hits 12 to get to the next hour. So even though, so for this example, it's not on the 8, it's between the 8th and the 9th, but as you get, the minutes hand gets closer to the new hour, it looks like it's going to be on the 9 now, but it's still considered the 8th hour. So for this example, since it's not on the 9, it's 8, and if we count 5 times till we hit number 9, we're going to be counted by 5s until we hit the number 45. Because if we count by 5 9 times, we get 45. So now it's 8:45, but it won't officially be the 9th hour until the minutes hand hits the 12. And yeah, I just wanted to go over that because like reading the hours can be tricky if it's not on the number. It's between two numbers, but if it's not on the next number, then it's still going to be the previous hour. So for this example, if it's in between the 8 and the 9, it's still going to be the 8th. So try to think back. So it's not on the 9, it's going to be 1 less. So it's going to be the 8th. Okay, and I'm happy to go over learning the clock with you during my office hours to get a better understanding if you're having trouble reading an analog clock. Okay, now let's get started on 4.8. Okay. So 4.8, we're kind of going over the number line as well. So I'm going to draw a brief example. Since we're working with learning how to add between numbers 0 through 20, I'm going to start on my number line with number 10 since my iPad screen is not long enough to hit 0 through 20. So you guys can count with me. It's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19, and 20. So if I gave you guys an example, 9 plus 7 equals what? And I want you guys to solve it on the number line. 9 plus 7 is what? It doesn't matter. You can put your starting point on either number, but I like to put mine on the bigger add-in because you do less counting on the number line. So I'm going to put number 9 here. And then since we're doing plus, that means we're going further away from 0. If it's minus, we're coming closer to 0 on the number line. But since I'm going to put my dot on the number 9, that means we have to count up by how many times? By 7 times. So we have to go up 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 9 plus 7 is 16, according to the number line, in which 9 plus 7 is 16. But if you're still kind of worried about using the number line, I highly encourage you guys to practice with the number line. But if you feel like you did it on the number line and you feel like your answer is not correct, then you can check your work by counting with your fingers. You can do the dots method. But yeah, I encourage you guys to try to solve this problem another way if you don't feel confident that you solved it correctly on the number line. But this example, it is correct. But another thing about 4.8, we're going to, it's more word problems. So you have to pay a good attention to the words in the problem, because it could be minus or it could be addition. So here's some words that might be helpful when to use addition or subtraction. So we're going to say blue subtraction. So if you read a problem and you see the words like take away, less than, fewer. If you see these words in a word problem in math, you're most likely going to use subtraction. But if you see words like add, more, gain, add, more, gain, plus, given, most likely you are going to use addition in these problems. So try to look for those key words. If you see words like take away, less than, fewer, you're going to most likely use subtraction on the number line, which means you move closer to the number 0 on the number line. But if you see words like add, more, gain, plus, that means you are moving further away from 0 because you're gaining more numbers. You're gaining a bigger sum than what you started with. So those are like some helpful points to notice when you're reading addition problems in math, because those words can help you when you try to solve for a problem. Okay, but we're going to work on a practice problem. So we're going to start, since we're doing word problems, we are going to count by 0 through 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, I have room. I might put 11. So we're going to have an example. You pour 4 cups of orange juice. So you poured 1 juice for yourself, for your mom, for your brother, for your father. So that's 4 cups. But your cousin came along for a surprise and pours another cup. So you're trying to figure out how many cups of orange juice now you have in total. So since your cousin came along, you start out with 4, and then he came along and poured 1 more. So he poured 1 more, so that means you gain more. So then you will use the addition because you gain 1 extra set of orange juice. So 4 plus 1 is what? Now, like I said, you could put your dot on the 1 or the 4. Either way, you will still get the correct sum. But what I like to do is, since I know 4 is bigger than 1, I like to place my dot on the 4. So that means I have less counting to do. Since I placed my dot on the 4, how many more do we need to count up? 1, since we put our dot on the 4, now we have to count up by 1. So we got the answer 5. Okay, 4 plus 1 is 5, and which is correct, because if we use our dots method and count up the total number of dots we have, we will get 5 dots. Okay, let's try another problem. We are going to pretend you have 7 board games, but it was your birthday, so your friends gave you some more, and now you have a total of 16. How many games do your friend give you? So this problem is saying, let's see, I'm going to erase this. Bye-bye, 4 plus 1. So you started out with 7 board games, but then you're, like I said, it was your birthday, your friend gave you some more, and now you have a total. So this is the total amount of games that you have as of now. So 16 is going to be your sum. That's going to be the total number. So, but you're trying to figure out how many presents did your friend give you on your birthday? So you started out with 7, but you're trying to figure out how many from 16. Okay, and since my number line does not go up to 16, I'm going to make a new one. Bye-bye. Okay. So I'm going to make my number line 7, 8, 9. And I started counting from 7 since I know the answer is not going to be below 7. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And I know I'm going to stop on 16 on the number line because that's the answer. So in this problem, the amount of presents is going to be less than 16 since 16 is the total that we have. So we are going to use subtraction in this problem. So if we put our dot on the 16, we can count backwards until we hit 7 to see how many presents that we have, or we can count from 7 until we hit 16. But either way is fine. So we count backwards until we hit 7. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And like I said, you can count 7 from 16, or you count backwards like I did. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We got the answer 9. 7 plus 9 is 16. But if you're like, I don't know, that problem was kind of confusing, you can always check your work and try to think of it backwards. So if we put our dot on the 9, we can count on to 7 to see if we hit the number 16. Or if you put your dot on the 7 and count up by 9. But since I put my dot on the 7, we're going to count up by 7. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And look, and we also landed on 16. So 7 plus 9 is 16. Okay. And I'm going to assign some worksheets and give you the option to work in your math books because I know it's nice to actually work in a textbook instead of looking at a screen for once. So you guys can do either of those options. And if you have any more questions regarding 4.8, I'm happy to help you out. Thanks so much.